Sorin ALBU.
You can start.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hello. The title of my paper is The Recovery of Byzantine Tradition through the School of Music and Iconography in Cluj, in Romania. Dear professors and esteemed guests, I am honored to give this lecture today in your presence. I will present the journey of the School of Iconography and Byzantine Music from Cluj-Napoca, Romania, which is now recognized both nationally and internationally. It all began in 1995, the year I started my first year at the prestigious Ioan Andreescu Academy of Arts. Here, a beautiful friendship blossomed between Ciprian Toma, George Romil, Nicolae Bălan, and myself, all students of the same academy, but in different specialization, united by a shared passion for artistic values, particularly iconography. At the same time, everyone was enthusiastic about life, having recently been freed from the yoke of communism. Our interest in this field depend through artistic study trips to various parts of Europe, where we sought to decode from an artistic perspective the great mystery of Byzantine ecclesiastic painting. The journey was a winding one, but full of spiritual satisfaction and success in creating icons. Alongside painting icons, the need for contemplation arose, much like the great master Andrei Rublev and his disciples used to do on feast days. They would look at icons for long periods, achieving ησυχία through watchfulness. At that time, we were not familiar with these terms, but in the simplicity of youth, we felt the need to contemplate the icons, adding music. For instance, I would often sing an action learned by ear without knowing the pneumatic notation every time I began or completed an icon of Mother of God. This is why we firmly believe in the guiding care of the Mother of God throughout our work, dedicating all of it to her. Our every small act of will is offered to her in deep gratitude. During that period, there were often critical voices against iconography and Byzantine tradition as whole, without necessarily having solid arguments to support such claims. At the Academy of Arts, we had Professor Gheorghe Arion as our art history teacher, with whom I later defended my doctoral thesis. He was extremely pleased to discover our passion for the Eastern Roman Empire, being a true reference for us at that time through the discussion we had and the specialized bibliography he recommended. Since 2005, emerged the idea to organize a large-scale event to scientifically support, within an academic environment, the necessity of the art of the old master from Constantinople, an art we had begun to savor and wished to share with our peers. After consulting with Archbishop Bartolomeu, he agreed to give us his blessing to begin this work of testimony, but he mentioned that he did not want our initiative to turn into ephemeral summer camps, but rather to lay the foundation of a school that would bear fruits over time. Thus, the Symposium Byzantine Art Days was born, featuring prestigious guests from Romania and abroad, through which we constantly sought to improve ourselves, to learn, and to pass on what we had received. In the field of visual arts and iconography, we hosted distinguished guests such as Professor Sorin Dumitrescu, Yorgos Cordis from Athens, and Nicolae Ozolin from Paris, who is also an honorary member of our university, having been awarded the title of Doctor Honoris Causa. They held workshops, lectures, conferences, and both theoretical and practical courses during the Symposium, clarifying many aspects related to the morphology of the Byzantine art. They demonstrated how an icon can be created, starting from the visual language specific to iconography, and how one can create true visual poems using the appropriate syntax. At the same time, while practicing Byzantine music, we began autodidactically with the first paralagi, studying the grammar of Byzantine music. The broadcasts about Byzantine music presenting on Radio Renașterea by Professor Elena Kirchev made us aware of the complexity of this field, and we realized that we needed specialized guidance. The first teacher of Psaltic music at Symposium was Professor Vasile Vasile from Iași, followed in subsequent years by the protopsaltist Vasilios Nonis and Father Mark Manolis from Athens, figures who had a defining impact on shaping us as future psaltists. I must also mention that Bishop Vasile Someșanu, who constantly watched over us through his prayers, something we only became aware of when Father Marcu Manolis met Bishop Vasilis. It was then that we realized, as much as we could comprehend, the spiritual realms in which the two lived. After their passing into the eschaton, we felt like we were losing our bearings in an increasingly secularized and unfriendly world for such events. This is when Mr. Noni's son connected us as a testament left by his father with Professor Emeritus Gregorios Statis and his disciple, Professor Grigorios Anastasiou. Once again, the presence of God through the work of the Mother of God became evident, and starting in 2011 and continuing to the present, we have been constantly guided with much love and understanding the art of Byzantine chant through masterclasses, conferences, concerts, rehearsals, and specialized courses. The research work of Professor Statis and his disciples is immense, often impenetrable to our limited understanding of the ethos of world long gone, yet still alive through the mysteries of the Church and the piety of the people. In 2012, Gheorghe Dima Academy of Music in Cluj-Napoca awarded the title of Doctor Honoris Causa to Professor Statis for his lifetime of research and development of Byzantine music worldwide. I would also like to mention Professor Ioannis Liakos and Professor Achilleas Haldeakis, two notable presence in the academic landscape of Cluj, who have been present in Transylvania at the Academy of Music, conducting the Byzantine music choir St. John Damascus, which I founded in 2005, thus contributing to our continuous improvement. The Byzantine world is beautifully evoked by Professor Grigorios Statis in two academic works, The first is lecture entitled The Charm of Byzantine Musical Art in the Past and the Now, and the second is the Dramaturgy of the Letter of Divine Ascent by Saint John. These works, when studied, transport you into the Byzantine world of the past and the world of God, which, through its simplicity and honesty, sometimes becomes impenetrable to many of us. I would like to make a special mention of Professor Grigorios Anastasiou, who sacrificed himself every year and with great pedagogical skill guides us on the path of Byzantine chant. I know he does not wish to be mentioned due to his modesty, but we feel obliged to respect the work and academic effort he puts in. His work is manifested in Transylvanian region through courses organized as masterclasses, scientific lectures, and concerts organized annually since 2014, addressing various topics of interest aimed at recovering the Byzantine musical tradition, first as perception and then as practical application in the holy services, especially among young people passionate about Byzantine music. A topic of great interest in our view for all psaltes, which Professor Anastasiou presented in Cluj, was Issihasm in Byzantine chant, where he masterfully explained the indissoluble link between the Issihasm and the interpretation of Byzantine music. Thus, the psalms receive as gift from God peace, joy, patience, love, kindness, self-control, fruits of the Holy Spirit, which he then transmits through his singing to those present at the holy services. Such an approach to the holy services significantly transformed the atmosphere, connecting both the clergy and the faithful with the psalms through Byzantine chant, just as in Constantinople of old to the celestial spheres, that is, the endless liturgy celebrated in the eschaton, in the presence of the Holy Trinity, the Mother of God, the Queen of Heaven, the angelic triads, and all the saints. There will be much more to say, but the temporal spheres in which we live often do not favor us. There is also an old Romanian proverb from our ancestors, wisdom, that say, much talking, little worth. We leave the unsaid things to be spoken by the angels on our behalf at the universal judgment. The well-known expression of the renowned historian Nicolae Iorga, Byzantium after Byzantium, is a challenge that the historian of the past century presents to us today, as a warming or a way of awakening, much like the Archangel Michael who spoke the words, "Let us stand well, let us stand with fear, let us be attentive." I now give the word to my friend and colleague, Hymnographer Ilie Rareș-Ilie, co-author of this presentation. I must mention that Mr. Rareș worked in essential for Transylvania and all Romania. After a millennium of Austro-Hungarian occupation in Transylvania, the art of Byzantine chant is being reborn. Thank you all. Greeks and Romanians are brothers, and we feel your sincere love for you, which is like that of an older brother who takes care of his younger sibling. Thank you.
So, continuing the main theme of this paper, so Recovery of the Byzantine Tradition, I will read my paper, my part. the renewal of Romanian hymnography through the ancient Byzantine method or way. We will see together what does it mean. Esteemed professors, I am deeply honored and pleased to speak to you today about the rediscovery or reawakening in Romanian hymnography of an essential aspect which has never been considered in our Romanian tradition, but truly has the potential to revitalize the service and breathe life into it. For this I propose we dive directly into the topic. It is well known to all of us that duality is present in nearly all aspects related to the theology. Man is first and foremost a dual being, with a visible and tangible part, the body, and an invisible or spiritual part, the soul. Likewise, the Church has a dual and theandric constitution, this consisting of Christ, who by his divine nature is united with the Father and the Holy Spirit, and by his human nature is united with us. These two elements, Christ and humanity, are so united in the Church that the Church cannot be seen without them, and one cannot be spoken of without the other, says Father Dumitru Stăniloae, or from now Saint Dumitru Stăniloae. Following this line of thought, we can say that the theology of the Church also enjoys this duality. And alongside theology, there is also the hymnography of the Church, which, being theology expressed poetically, shares this characteristic. Since hymnography is a poetic act, a creative one, we are entitled to consider that the hymns of the Church have two parts, one corporeal and another one spiritual. The corporeal part consists of all of the technical aspects related to the construction and refinement of an hymn, while the spiritual part pertains to the meanings that the text reveals, meanings that can in turn purify the mind of a person as they actively participate in this process. It is evident that for centuries the intention of all hymnographers has been twofold. The first one, to transmit something specific, a textual content which has the ability through its meanings to aid in the purification of the human mind, but this is the second theme. This something specific should not be confined randomly or carelessly, but in a specific manner through a method organized and structured. This is, if you will, the reason behind the creation of any hymn in the Church. I add that by point one I mean the text, the hymn itself, while by point two I refer to its technical aspect, the manner in which it has been transmitted to us. Every hymn of the Church has a poetic structure, a technical or a metrical skeleton, to which all hymnographers have remained faithful. In the original Greek hymnography within the Greek-speaking Orthodox world, these aspects have never posed a problem. However, in Romanian hymnography over time, only point one, as presented above, we strictly observe that in the translations of the hymn as accurately as possible, but without considering point two, the technical aspects concerning the construction of the hymn, accents, verses, syllable count, and so on. From the first printed Romanian Mineon, Râmnic 1776 to 1718, under the bishops Chesari and later Filaret, up to the present day, the services of the Church, stihira, canons, troperans, and so on, have always been translated into simple prose as narrative text. This is the situation in Romania. The end of the 18th century could thus have been the moment when Romanian hymnography was born, maintaining the unalterated identity of the original hymnography. But this did not happen, and thus a maturation process of over 200 years was required. So in this maturation period, there were two small exceptions that deviated from the path followed by Romanian hymnography, that of non-metrical translations. The first exception is represented by the Epitaphios, ta encomia. Its first Romanian translation, non-metrical or in free prose, can be found in the Triodon from Râmnic, 7031. However, in 1810, Ioan Prale Moldoveanu made the first metrical translation of his hymnographic masterpiece. Liturgists, however, considered it unsuccessful. Over 20 years later, Macarius Hieromonk, recently canonized in the Romanian Orthodox Church, made a remarkable metrical translation of the Epitaphios, which was successful in all aspects. From that point on, all the translations of the Epitaphios, whether based on Macarius' translations or not, have been made in the original matter, which allowed the Epitaphios to be chanted as the original. The second exception to the non-metrical translation path, as I said, is Albina Musicală, or the musical bee, by Ghenadie Țeposu, Bishop of Argeș from 1864 to 1868. He was a man dedicated to the study of languages and concerned with the improvement of the church services, having classical language studies in Vienna. As a scholar of Greek text, he quickly noticed that the ease with which hymns are sung in Greek is due to their not being in simple prose, but having a fixed metrical structure. With this model in mind, he began translating in matter into Romanian the most used hymn elements, the prosomia, adding stihira from various feasts. In this preface to his book, he mentioned that if it is well recited by the church, clergy, chanters, and the people, he would continue his work of metrical translation. History tells us that the bishop did not continue his work, and that his metrical translations effort, containing so-called, as I said, Albina Musicală, remained only a tangible proof of a timid attempt to revitalize hymnography and church music, which had become stagnant and subject to the anarchy of disorder, as he himself wrote in the preface. If these were the attempts to discover metrical hymnography by our people, I propose we analyze together how the Westerners perceived two metrical structures of ecclesiastical hymns. We will start by saying that for many centuries, Westerners researchers believed that Byzantine hymnography was written in prose, not in matter.
Excuse me, we have just 2 minutes more.
Yes. Sorry, thank you. This was due to the fact that the Byzantines themselves called it prose, bezos logos. For instance, the Byzantine commentator Theodor Prodromos wrote that in comparison with John of Damascus, Cosmas the Melodist composed his canon for Nativity of Christ without matter, viha metru. Before him, Gregory Pardos, another Byzantine commentator, emphasized the same point. What then does the term prose refer to? The answer is found in the 12th century, with Evstatius of Thessaloniki, who in his commentary of the canon for Pentecost made a metrical observation not concerning the vocalic quantity of the iambic verse, but the accent of the words. This means that we are dealing with a metrical structure and melodic at the same time, superimposed of the iambic matter. So, as we saw earlier, the Romanian Orthodox world would discover the metrical structure of the hymns in the second half of the 19th century. Well, around the same period of the Latins also took their first steps in the understanding these aspects. In 1859, the renowned French scholar and co-author of the Patrologia Greca, Cardinal Jean-Baptiste François Pitrat, analyzed the canon from a manuscript held in the library of St. Petersburg Upon closely examining the text of the canon, he noticed small red dots, dividing each troparion into verses of varying lengths. Another testimony says that, citation, the Greeks rarely look at the books marked with musical notes while singing, and it is even rather that have such books. Therefore, they diligently memorize the words and melodic line of common hymns, using these as models to adapt their singing to other hymns with the same number of syllables. Coming to our project, I will say that in 2020, the Hymnitor project was born. Timid because what was of the utmost interest to us, metrical hymnography, was for most psaltes in the country of no value and completely uncompressible. Until recently in Romania there was no distinction made between metrically translated hymn and the same hymn translated freely. Our project was born to the joint initiative of a monk, Joseph, his name, endowed with a gift of hymn writing in itself, and myself. Over time, others joined to us. We tried our best to accustom the psaltists to metrical hymnography and to the melodies of prosomia, so that once they acquired the taste for it, they would desire it more and more. With God's help, we began to retranslate into matter the stichira for the Vespers and Matin services of the great feasts through the year. Seeing that we have captured the psaltes with the hook of the matter, we continued with various kathismata, troparia, and condacion, retranslating them as well and adding them to the stichira already mentioned. We continued our project with different acolothees, many documents with only simple stichira, prosomia, added with also with musicat hymena, I can say. Additionally, we translated stichira from the Triodion, Pentecostarian, and Oxoichos.
I'm sorry.
Yes, this is my last. So our satisfaction did not come so much from the popularity of this project itself, but from the joy that arose from the fact that psaltists began to prefer the metrical translated services over the freely translated ones. Metric is rediscovered in Romania before our eyes, and you should know that the face of the Romanian services has changed since we have services in metric translations. Thank you.